It is live. And I don't know, it's got some sort of screen up here. Okay, there, it cleared it out. I hadn't been live on YouTube for a long time. So, as promised, here we are live. And I have to wait to see if somebody shows up to know if this is actually working. But welcome to another Friday special edition of Live Legend of the Superstition Mountains. We used to do the Chasing Legends stuff back out here. Oh, I see someone did a thumbs up, so it must mean someone can actually see it. I'm thinking. Okay. Anyhow, I don't know how to do much of anything, and I'm kind of stuck here on my own, which is what you're probably saying is, why are we doing the live? It's not Chasing Legends live, which we did for a long time. We're doing a Friday special edition live because Trevor asked me to ensure that no matter how hot it was today, no matter how tired I am, that I would take 10-15 minutes and go live on Friday to continue the Friday special legend episodes. And the reason behind this, hi Wayne, I can't really see everybody's stuff. I see you. Okay, well, can you hear me? That would be nice too. Anyways, so anybody that's kind of tuning into this or watches it later, you're going to sit there and say, well, what's the content? What was the reason we've been throwing up old film footage and doing different things? Well, right now it is 4 o'clock Arizona time. It's 102 degrees and it's hot, and I had a long day and I'm done. But Trevor right now is out sound asleep. It's 2 a.m. in Athens, Greece, where it's a nice mild 73 degrees. And Trevor's sound asleep in his bed, which is, you're calling, huh? And that's the truth. Trevor's in Athens, Greece today. Yesterday he was in Rome, Italy. And because of that, we can't do any of this stuff. Hello, and I can't just catch everybody's name. Good evening. You are coming through loud and great and clear. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're feeling better. I am feeling better. There's a little, well, it's been a long day, and I'm kind of dried out. My voice is all gravelly and stuff. Normally, Trevor sets all this stuff up, and I get to sit back, cool my voice down, and then I get to come out here and get all the gravelly out of it and all. So today you get to hear me full blown into the day gravelly instead of fresh and ready to go, waiting for him and get myself all set up. So anyhow, so the purpose of this was to make sure we get out there and say thank you for everybody coming in on the Fridays. He didn't really know what to throw together, and of course the logistics, we talked briefly about him and I being on, but right now I'd have to get him up at 2 a.m. in the morning for us to do something live together, and that just seems, how you doing out there? And so we talked for a good, just a couple hours ago, we talked for an hour and a half, so, and he's having a great time, so he's enjoying himself. And he'll be back in another week or so as he tours and does his little trip to Europe this year. So now that we're out of COVID, he was able to get back to Europe. And he's having a good time. So that was the reason I'm here, is because I pay for the trips. He goes on the trips. And then third is he wants me to do these, and I have to do them. Even though I didn't have to, I could just say no. So, really didn't have any plan for this week or anything. Didn't want to bring up a topic or something, because that's usually what we do for Chasing Legends. Don't want to step on my own 2 feet. And like I said, we used to do these, a little stream of consciousness, talk about kind of some of the stuff going on and all. And definitely at this time of year, we're out of the mountains. It's summertime, like I said. Today it's 102, and we're kind of mild. I think we're supposed to turn down the heat a little bit this weekend for the Memorial weekend. But normally at this time of the year, there's not a lot going on. We're pretty much all sitting back, kind of watching television, just relaxing here in the Southwest until the weather gets much more mild and we can move forward and kind of get back up into the mountains. Younger days, I would spend some time in the mountains, but even if I was, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that, because that's dangerous for everyone else. So this is a lot of the time we'll do a lot of research, which I did do some of that today. And we'll be putting together research and projects and stuff for going in the mountains in the fall. And right now we'll be probably working on the Legend of the Superstition Mountain episodes that we were working on. But again, Trevor's not here for the time being. So when he gets back, we'll be working on the archival projects, the Legends stuff, and some other stuff. But good for him. He's having a good time. He's enjoying himself. So, and I'll let him kind of deal with all that when he gets back, because I told him take plenty of film and you can walk everybody through some of these places you're going and some of the stuff you're learning and the different cultures. So this today. And like I said, today was Athens, Greece. So he was in Athens today. And I don't know where he goes. I think tomorrow maybe he goes to Crete. So anyway, so Trevor's off. He's having a fine, swell time. Much cooler, much nicer weather. He's enjoying the food and he's enjoying the culture. Where the rest of us are just sitting back, and I'm getting howdy Wayne and hi Wayne. Hey guys, how you doing? And like I said, we used to do this, and I would just come on and talk for a while. We used to do these for 45 minutes to 2 hours, which I can't understand. I don't think I'll be doing that because my phone will die by then. So I just kind of finished up the end of the day, said, I told him I made the promise I would come in and do this and see if there's anything to question. One of the things to bring up is definitely we're kind of in that summer months, like I said, I keep kind of alluding to, and we're kind of doing like some of the watching TV discussion I've had with a number of people on phone calls, and people message and text and stuff, and they ask kind of like what I'm thinking of this and that. I'm pretty much the one show I think I'm regularly watching, and I'm a fan of, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. I think Prometheus did a nice job putting that together. I like the scientific idea and the way they're approaching it. Having read the books and kind of done some of my takes on what I think of some of the books and the things that people talk about at Skinwalker, I like the way the direction show's going. It's more scientific. They're kind of getting rid of some of the other stuff. I don't know, the hoodoo, they're getting rid of that stuff. And they're kind of going more scientific approach. And they're throwing different things at it and stuff. And I find sometimes well, why don't you do this? And then 2 episodes later, they do that. Okay, loving the Skinwalker show. And it's nice. And one of the things I think also about it is, well, was a huge fan of all the characters. It's only, I think, 5 or 6 characters, really. And they're all, if not likable, they're at least, you can deal with them. So I kind of like that show, and I've tried to tell a lot of people, watch season 1. See, by the end of season 2, I think it really gets a lot better, and it's one of those few shows that it's actually just continues to get better. And I think they're in season 3 now. I'm not sure how many episodes there are this season, but Travis Taylor's work. Okay, Travis is one of the guys on the show, but no, they've done a nice job, and it's a nice group of people. And Travis was in Oak Island, where Oak Island, we know at this point, season 52 will be, we dug a hole, we filled the hole in. We dug a hole, we filled the hole in. Next week, and interspersed by 7.5 minutes of Gary Drayton running a metal detector. We know at season 70. Rick Legine is probably going to rip all his clothes off, shave his head, and run around naked around the hole, because they literally kind of been in kind of a holding pattern of they've done a great job. We're getting ratings on a program that really doesn't do a lot. It's kind of funny. So it was kind of like, to me, okay, there's entertaining, and people like familiarity and entertaining. I thought Secret of Skinwalker Ranch did an excellent job of taking the show forward. And I know that's not always what the audience wants. They want more entertainment. And some people would tell you that show's kind of boring to some degree. I just like the approach of it. If they're faking everything on there, they're doing such a really good job that we really can't just poke a ton of holes in it. They're doing a nice job just putting the show together and putting it out there, and making it more about a scientific process of trying to see what's going on there than what a lot of the shows. Now, and it's special. They own the property, so it's kind of good. But I am a fan of that. It's one of the few shows I watch regularly that I'm a fan of. There's a show recently, what is it? Aztecs Lost Gold to Aztecs, which is almost the polar opposite. A show, I think it just finished its first season of 5 or 6 episodes, because remember that first season is pretty short. And it was a rough, because I don't know why they split it into 3 groups. They didn't really ever create a likability within the groups. The guys down in New Mexico, I was kind of like very tolerant of. I thought, okay, but maybe it's just I like the area they're working in. They really never built a good background of the whole Aztec thing, and they always kind of play this thing out like we all kind of like know this Cortez, Aztec, Montezuma angle. And by the time Cortez was in the capital still when Montezuma was killed. He was kind of there. And so they kind of always play this mysterious thing like Cortez left and then he came back and Montezuma had hid the gold and they killed him. Nah, it didn't happen that way. and people will argue stuff like that. But the point is, they don't really do a great deal of history, and they didn't do it through the program. And I kind of hate that because I always question the whole Montezuma's lost gold thing. Was there any actual lost gold? Trevor went to Spain and said they brought plenty back. So there you go. So I don't know, but they have not done as good of a job, and I don't know if that's a History Channel thing or the production team or a different group. You continue to watch, because I always say support those kind of programs, because once we quit watching any of them, then there's none of them. And then we're stuck with pretty much they make metal swords and cook food and do stuff like that, and then William Shatner in between. And hey, William Shatner's cool, but it just doesn't really, that show doesn't really do that much for me. Even though, I think, what was the last one? It was actually not too bad. I think I watched it. So, and it's all, like I said, it's all good and interesting. I did hear the buzz they're supposed to be working on from a couple different people now. There's supposed to be someone's working on a project for the Superstitions again, but a couple of the names they threw out on some of the things about this program or something someone was working on really kind of made me go, because they weren't working with an obvious Dutch hunter or anybody actually that is really well known in any community. I mean, maybe he has a following of a few thousand people somehow in some respect, and not much television time, but who knows? We all have to start from somewhere. So wait to hear on that. Now, I know a thing or two about the Aztecs. I know a thing or two too, because I've read books. I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of books about the Aztecs and the Mayans and Cortez and things like that. And they're very different than what you might see on History Channel. So, but very cool. Okay. And there's diaries and logs about the conquistadors and all that stuff. The TV show does not do justice to what you're doing on that. I still stand by. I'd love to see a show, and I know it'd be very hard for them to put it, but Victorio Peak. I'd love to see a Victorio Peak program, because I kind of like the whole Victorio Peak stuff and a lot of what happened there, Doc Noss and a lot of that stuff. There's enough mystery. Montezuma's revenge. Well, that's a very real thing down there. Don't drink the water. Drink bottled water, which Trevor will tell you is buy the bottled water. That's a story for another day. Anyhow, on that stuff. So there's that other program running. Another thing I want to keep putting out there is Sunsets, which is the documentary film Trevor worked on. It was a capstone's honor project for him in the Honors College at NAU, which he's a graduate. And the final parts of that, where the film has to go out and be shown and that kind of thing, and those things are getting run and done. And then there's the archive part of the project where the archival material goes to the Historical Society. That's all being done, and then kind of waiting to see the next things. One of the things he really wants to do before we do anything too much further is he wants to have the people involved with the filming that were incorporated into the film and involved in a lot of ways, have a private screening for all of them to see the finished film as it's done. I still have not even seen it. I saw 90% of it, and then I put the music to it. And then once I put the music to it, I haven't seen it again. I don't think I've seen it since I laid out all the music and got everything done for it. Because it kind of became that thing of like when you're in a TV show and watching yourself, when I'm hearing the music, then I'm thinking it's too loud or it's too this or I should have done that. And since I had so little to do with a lot of it, it was easy for me to watch 8 or 9 times. And then once I had my hands in it, then I really wanted to get away from it. So I recall Build Good for but they don't hold that stuff up there very long, do they? That's kind of crappy. And I don't have Trevor here to have it flipped around so he can see it. So I just catch it. And I got a little bit of the sun in my eyes, you can see. So I'm not a great lighting guy. But I'm not blue, and I'm not in the dark. I'm just like caught in the shadows. So, but anyways, that film project is working through, and that's a really cool project. So I think people will really like it. It's going to be different than what they might expect. I would personally say not because Trevor is my son, but because of his goal, the aim of the project, and the vision he had with it. And Tom Collenborn was a person that talked to him about the scope of what he should do with it. What he ended up doing with this film and what it became was something completely different and far better done and very honest. So if you're looking for something where we're rappelling down mountains and this and that, and it's me and Frank looking out over across the desert, no, you're going to be very disappointed because you're not going to see us anywhere in there. We are not there. So you're going to hear from me in there, but you're not going to see me. And that was right and just and fine because the story's about the Lost Dutchman. Howdy, why do you have a Harley Quinn action figure? That's Tyler's. Tyler's Harley Quinn. I have a Templar. Do you see the Templar? The little Templar. Oh, I can't do this. I'm going backwards. But I have a Templar. I have a Templar. That's Trevor's. Tyler's Harley Quinn. He's a big fan of Harley Quinn and comics and stuff. And the Harley Quinn, he had too much stuff and no room for the Harley Quinn. Do you have the... Oh, gee. Okay, I waited too long, and when I finally saw it, it faded, and then I can't do it. And I'll answer questions afterwards and stuff, and then pick some of this stuff up for next week. But, that's what that is for, is he didn't have room. It's too tall, and I told him he could put it on my recording console, and he did. And I'm stuck with Harley there. So, yes, he's a big fan of Harley Quinn, and he's the DC comic guy, which I am. I'm a DC comic guy. And then Trevor's more kind of both ways a bit. He was a Batman fan, but he's a Spider-Man fan. He's kind of a Marvel guy, which I liked Spider-Man and Thor. But then there was a lot of Marvel stuff I don't care for. Like, that really matters. But anyhow, so that being said and done, I'm glad I could answer the Harley Quinn question there. Yes, I'm not a Harley Quinn person. So it's just taking up space. Yeah, I don't have a lot of stuff in. And actually, you can't see, but the bookshelves got cleaned up too of a lot of little memorabilia and stuff. I kind of got things straightened up because it was clustered. Whenever you watch behind me, you see those big, I had cans of 8mm film and canned air and all kinds of stuff and tapes piled up in there in the bookshelves. And it was getting to be a real chore if I wanted to read a book to have to reach through and find the book. So I got the shelves cleaned up too and all, which was part of like when we were working on the recording stuff, because during that period I was having to sit in here and work on multiple things. Trevor would come in and say, I need 14 25-second pieces, but they all need to be different. And I was like, oh, that's okay, that's not a problem. He said, can you have them done tonight? Like, it's 7. Could you have it done by 8 so I can get it edited into the film and have it uploaded for tomorrow? It's like, damn. So there you go, and I did that. So as you can tell, I got a little bit of congestion, and I got so much time, and I'm kind of kicking it through here because I want to give everybody something here and try to catch some of those questions. See, now I'm focusing, I'm watching for the question. It's not coming, but I'll turn away and it'll happen. But anyways, and my favorite, the meals. Someone twice today, someone made fun of me. That is that every day I do 2 tacos for breakfast, and then I do a bean and cheese burrito, and some nachos with cheese, jalapenos and cheese for lunch. And then I go to Taco Bell. Someone said something about it, and I said, well, I didn't think about it, but it's kind of a vegetarian diet, because I do believe the tacos I get have a plant-based meat in them. Could you do a Montezuma's Treasure episode? We could probably try to do something like that. What do you think of the coffee, flat mountain, blah, blah, blah. How the Dutchman live? Did the Dutch? Okay, I think you were asking if the Dutchman lived. It was like 16th Street in Buckeye, which was known as Henshaw. You're looking at the east southwest corner, I think. Okay, so that's where he lived. If there's a Burger King there or something, and then the naturalization place, the immigration place, and he lived by that spot. How can we contact you beside the Facebook page? You can do it through here, or just kind of, the Facebook page is usually the easiest to contact through Messenger or something. We don't have anything else set up. I don't think so. I'm trying to think if there's any other way what we have set up. There's Instagram, because there's a Legend of Superstition Mountains, and I'm available on Instagram through Zentul. And I think he was where the Skills Center is now. Yeah, something like that. But it was out in the middle of that property. He owned that one section right there on the southwest corner of 16th Street in Buckeye. So, but you can contact us through Instagram, and you can contact us through the Facebook. I don't really touch the Twitter, and it has nothing to do with anything recent. Twitter I find difficult because I don't know what to really say. It's like they expect you, there's an expectation for you to say something witty every day or every other day, or some quote or something, or show them your burrito. I don't know. So I kind of don't do that. But yeah, most of those social media sites you can kind of do through that and kind of do that. And unfortunately, that's it. We've never really kind of tried to make a special mailbox or something. And the Facebook thing, purely the only reason we ended up with that kind of in the end was because of Go Go Lucky, the production company and History Channel, where they made the Facebook site. We ran the episodes, they threw it up there, got the promotional stuff up. They didn't touch it the entire season. And then I said, do you mind if I go in there and put some stuff or add some pictures or do something? They're like, oh no, we're more than happy and stuff. So, hold on, I'll finish that. Thank you for a recorrect. I was born and raised in that area, just curious. Okay. But, where was I? Let me catch up here. Okay, so, and the Facebook page purely came out of Henry Campana, who I believe passed away. Part of the production company was running that. And then I talked to Henry, and then literally, I think DeLeo might have access to it too. I don't know, but literally, History Channel and everybody said, yeah, no, you can have access. You can do that. You can do this. And they were trying to prep us on the social media, and then everybody just bailed on everything. And then I ended up with when everybody looks at the Legend of the Superstition Mountain page on Facebook, which was the official page through History Channel and everything, I ended up with all that stuff. And because I was the only administrator at the end of the day, which was kind of weird, it was like, okay, A&E and History Channel didn't really care, and the production company just decided just to kind of like walk away, and it would have been a dead site. And my main reason for kind of keeping it up was there were I think there's still 2 fan sites, because I post to those all the time, and they're not very active, but I still post to those because there were at one time 4 or 5 fan sites. So you had these 4 or 5 Facebook fan sites and these different things. And then you had the History Channel A&E page was linked in. And I was like, well, you have to kind of like, someone needs to maintain that and do that for when people stream it or they check it out and stuff. There should be someone kind of like answering questions occasionally and all. And that was one of the other sad points, is when I got administrator duties, there must have been like 300-400 messages of nobody had ever answered, because nobody answered, nobody replied to anybody, which a lot of you will notice. You go like, oh, their official page, but no one replies, or it seems like a computer doing it. And one of the reasons I started doing it, because I realized that too, is like, that's really sad. They don't really give a crap. Show was awesome. The History Channel ought to take it back. Yeah, well, you never know what they'll do. They bring things back and do things, and they sometimes show an interest, and then they sometimes don't show an interest. Do you think he used the Rio Salado to walk out to the mountains? I don't know. Probably, because it was the main mountain. Hello from this channel. Nice to see you live, Wade. Man, I don't get much time to get those in there. So, have you claimed and staked any Malians in the past? No, I generally won't claim anything. I will go in and start the process too, and then start doing the prospecting and doing the assaying. And Frank and I have done a number of places where we start looking at something and we realize we got X amount of days to put in on that, and then we will pull out if we just don't feel it's worthwhile the gold. One of the problems with publicly setting claims and stuff is that everybody can see your name on it and see where you're at. So if I had any claims, I would basically not really tell you where they're at, because they would be under another name or someone else's name to hide that, because Frank and I and Woody at this point I think have to be very careful of where people are looking. So there's been several spots we've been interested in. One of them actually turned out to be in Maricopa County, Pinal County Park, and we realized what was coming and what was going to happen. There was just no sense in even doing it. But the rhyme and reason behind there is, it's just like anything. When someone sees where we're at, they want to know. And it doesn't take much to look out. I'm glad to see you're alive. Well, I'm pretty happy to be alive. I'm pretty good with it all myself. So I'm doing all right. How much do you involve Superstition Mountain Lost Dutchman Museum? Last year I did 2 lectures out there. I'm part of the Historical Society. I've always been part of the Superstition Mountain Historical Society, which is part of the museum. and all that. So I've always been a part of that. I'm not actively in working in the museum as per se. I do spend there. Cool. It doesn't give me any time. I start because I'm talking and then I'm trying to start to get the first lines and it dumps it off. I will answer all these questions I catch later on this stuff. But as far as the Historical Society, I'm very involved with that and the archive project. And Greg Davis, who's one of the founding members and is the archivist, and I'm very involved with him. I just did the 8mm archivist material and all that stuff. You're welcome, Robert. And I hope that's your name because that's what I glanced at before you disappeared. But I'm very involved with that stuff. I'm more involved with the Dons of Arizona at this time. Um, mine Ted Cox. Ted Cox. I'm not going to talk about Ted Cox. I've read all Ted Cox. I've read a ton of stuff that Ted Cox wrote. I'm not going to get into Ted Cox. How much gold have you found in the last 40 some odd years wandering the superstitions? A sufficient amount. Sufficient amount. Sufficient enough to own all these. Done well. Done fine. We'll continue to do fine. There's plenty of gold, and someday we'll have a talk. I've done a little bit. Well, someday we'll have a bit of a discussion. I always wanted at the rendezvous to have a geologist come in because you get actually a lot of geologists will come in and tell you about the gold and how it sets up in the superstitions. There's a sufficient amount of gold. You can't make a living off of it out there, but you can do well. And if you hit the right pockets and hit the right places and know when to move on, you can do quite well. Where was the military trail? Different people will tell you different things. Some people will tell you went down Needle Canyon. Some people will tell you it went down LaBarge. Some people tell you it went down Tortilla. When is the aforementioned making of the chili this year? Is that it? I don't know. I didn't catch it. Nice guitars. Which is your favorite? It's kind of like talking about my kids. It's kind of, I don't know. That one's got a special place. I had that one for 40, 50 years. And that one's got a lot of abuse on it. So I've put that one through the ringer. That kind of was the war horse of them all. But that was a live war horse, not so much that. I'm looking at a couple of real favorites, other ones too. So it always depends for what I'm doing in the moment and what I'm thinking about. A lot of the stuff, when people hear stuff that we've recorded and stuff, it's the American Standard Strat. Even though I always think of myself as a Les Paul guy, I hate to, well, I don't hate to say it, but most of the stuff you will hear out of me will be through my one Strat, and it just happens to be my backup Strat. But it's always the go-to. It looks fine. What looks fine? The guitar? That thing? That one? It looks good from a distance. It has a lot of damage. I always see it as a tool. I see it as something I work with. I don't see it as something like, ooh, don't mess it up. No, I would just drop them and lay them down and they would fall over and things happened. And that one actually has crazy glue in the neck that's holding it together. And it has a lot of it has the buckle burn on the backside of it and everything. But it's been through the ringer and it's had its neck cracked a couple times, and I've refixed it because I didn't want to replace the neck because I have a fondness for that neck on that guitar. Anyways, that being there, I kind of forgot where I was anyways, but I know we were talking about the whole thing of ending up with the Facebook pages and the social media, which was not my thing at all, and I ended up with all that and got Trevor to help and DeLeal to help to kind of get going with that. Same with my horns, yeah. So, and I got different, like I said, there's acoustics I like a lot and different things. It's usually the rattiest thing I got that's beat up the most is usually one of my favorites. And it just becomes a comfortable thing I don't really give a crap about. And because of that, it becomes the one I drag around and just leave around and don't care if the dog jumps up and knocks it over or something. And that somehow becomes the guitar that I'm most tuned into and stuff. But it's different, different guitars do different things and have different sounds. And sometimes you're tired of one sort of thing and to move to another. And I'm not much of a kind of a modern day guitarist and that kind of stuff. So I generally play Fenders and Gibsons, and I didn't catch the Peralta Stone thing, but it's generally Fenders and Gibsons. See, I talk guitars and I lose everything, but most of those, and I like the sound of a stringed instrument, which this one over here is more like a PRS type sounding guitar, and it kind of covers a lot of ground and stuff. but I do like, Telecasters and Stratocasters and Les Pauls, and those are probably my three favorite types of guitars. But I also have a hollow body that I really like to play, and I enjoy that guitar as well. So it's kind of funny as I have favorite types, and I don't know if that's always from when I was younger that I gravitated to those of seeing guys play them and think, oh, that's what I gotta have. And then later found out it's just particular guitars I really like to play and so forth. I didn't catch the Peralta Stones thing, and I'll answer that later. So that's that. Well, we did get a nice little crowd going on this. So I pulled a half hour so far, so I did good. A little longer, and I'll call it a day. But giving you some good content, I'm hoping. I didn't mean for it to be a guitar expose. Is that what I need to do? Swing this around to the Marshall and we just play guitar? Da, da, da. Do you believe the Dutchman killed anyone at the mine? Nah, I don't. I really don't think that. I think if he killed anybody and it was, some Mexicans or something like that, it's nothing that anybody found out about. Have you guys heard back from the guy that said they found the lost Dutchman recently? Which guy is that? I don't know. You said Jack San Felice, and I've talked to Jack, and I don't know anything. I'll catch that later in the comments. I hear from 3 or 4 people a month about people that have found the lost Dutchman mine. So that's hi Wayne. There, okay, that one was easy. But I hear from a lot of people that have found the mine, and yeah, we just like listening to your stories in life. Oh, okay, that's fine. Da da da. Thanks, Wayne Tuttle. Salvador Negative. Do I have to talk like you, Salvador? And is that way so you understand me? Da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, well, it was good to hear from you, Sal. It's summertime. It's hot, man. We need to get cool weather so we can get out and do stuff again. Go out and have some fun. But I'll see you this summer, Sal. I'll take time and find time to see you and get a hold of you and stuff. So I miss hanging out with Sal. But well, and the problem is we lose people as we travel on in life. You kind of miss a lot of that stuff. What's your favorite spot in My favorite spot in the Superstitions? I love being out up in Bluff Springs Mountain. It's not necessarily Lost Dutchman thing or anything else. It's one of my favorite spots. It wasn't one of the first spots I went to, but I got up on probably the mid-central area of the Bluff Springs Mountain and walking around there and spending time up there, which you usually don't really see anybody up there all day. And the isolation and being up on top of the mountain, I just loved it, and I loved being out there. It's one of my favorite areas. Is the author on the thanks for what do you do, man? Just for this. People, there's too many people saying stuff. Is the alien and the native stories true? Okay, I don't know about aliens. Ted DeGrazia, could you do some locations? Okay, so Ted DeGrazia, we got some more stuff to kind of deal with Ted. And the alien thing, I don't know what that was. Well, we'll talk a little about aliens. Kay Kiziar did a bunch of books on aliens and stuff. I've never seen a UFO or anything like that, or anything even remotely close to that. I've never met anybody that I would say has spent significant time in the mountains that has any of those experience or anything with aliens other than the kind that need water, that are traveling across the desert, which that does happen. And you try to keep your distance and drop some water and say, hey guys, free water. Okay, make sure you kind of find the immigration naturalization guys down the road. Hope you're fine, and then you leave the area. But yeah, that's the only aliens I've ever seen out there. Nothing. There's no underground bases. There's no underground government bases. If that's the kind of aliens you're talking about, so the kind of aliens I see come from south, and like I said, they're thirsty. Adolf Ruth came, saw, conquered. Did he come, saw you, and he conquered? He thought he did. He just wrote stuff on a piece of paper, and I think he thought he was getting to somewhere on the point of what he thought he was going to find or what he was doing. He thought he came and proved whatever that point is. Unfortunately, no one knows what that point was to prove. Was that trip just to basically prove he thought he knew the area and he could match the area on his maps to this or that? It could be something that we'd all be disappointed in. And so I came, I saw it, conquered. It's a great physical statement. But it could have been just he thought he was in the right area, which means he might not have been. He just thought he was in the right area. And it wasn't Peter's Mesa. He died on Blacktop. Native Indian stories true. Is there, and it got in some gold in the mine. It's hard to say with Native American stories because generally Native American stories that we hear concerning the superstitions, if you hear some of the ones that are passed through the verbal lore, um, they're generally not to do with the superstitions, Jacob Walls, the Peraltas, gold, and that kind of stuff. They didn't pretty much keep track of a lot of stuff. So they're kind of certain stories to teach and learn about their own history. A lot of the stories we get and a lot of what we hear, we catch out of books and stuff, is just white guys telling tales and stuff. So, as far as any legends or stories or stuff like that, I don't know. I've been with a lot of guys, Apache guys, and Navajo guys that got lost in the mountains. So, um, is Battleship Mountain a big challenge? No, no. It's fun. I mean, it could be a challenge if you're way overweight and you have a really bad sense of balance and you try to run the ridge of it. How many active mines do you know of? How many active mines do you mean in what way? In the superstitions, there's always probably a dozen or so active mines that someone's working even in the wilderness area. There's a number of active mines outside the wilderness, a lot more than that actively working. So there's always people working stuff, and sometimes people give up on something and someone else comes in. But there's always people you want. Can you climb Superstition Mountain in the summer? I wouldn't recommend it, depending where you're coming from. I've done it. I've been up there. I wouldn't always recommend it, definitely in the hot weather, because once you start up, you got to remember you got to come down when it's hot. And once you get up there, you're going to find there's not a lot of shade and stuff, and the rock's really hot, and there's no water up there during the summer. So if you climb the main mountain during the summer, like Siphon Draw and stuff, you're just asking for disaster. And people like to do stuff thinking, well, that's a big challenge. Well, dead's not much of a challenge, is it now? Not in my opinion. So, and I think I did the one video that people can watch on our channel here, and you'll see it a long time ago where I'm in Fish Creek Canyon in the middle of July, and I did a couple of those, and you can see how gassed I was. And I went back in there and I was on my own, and it was kind of a big mistake. Now, I was fine and I got out fine, but it was a big mistake that day. Is the profile map related? Lost touch of mine. Randy Wright kind of made me believe it wasn't. He did a really great history on it. You go back to Fish Creek soon. Yeah. Well, the problem is Fish Creek, Lower Fish Creek. Good answer, Wayne. Lower Fish Creek, the problem is there's no way to get down to it. The road's out still. I'd like to. We're going to be back out in Fish Creek in the area eventually this next fall, next year. We've been back out there. It's just how to get to the areas we want. What type of music do you play? A lot of Irish traditional music. Love your guitars also. Okay, I don't do Irish traditional. I play a lot of just music. I don't know. I don't think what it is. Some people would say it's loud, and some people would say it's loud. And but no, I've always played anything I just damn well please. Grew up playing lap steel and then acoustics and classical guitar and stuff. So I like a lot of stuff, but I don't stylistically consider myself a guitarist anybody. I just consider myself a guy that just likes to play guitar. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Let's put it this way. Okay, how do you term me? I like to play Strats, Gibsons, and I like to play through Marshalls. So that pretty much tells you kind of where you're going. I don't know, but I'm not Chet Atkins and I'm not Les Paul, and I'm somewhere behind that, beyond that, and whatever that is. Clues, blues. Yeah, I always play a lot of blues. I was a big fan of people like Robert Johnson, Charlie Patton, Son House, and that kind of stuff. Elmore James, real early blues. So once I heard rock, I really kind of stepped back and wanted to know where that stuff came from, and I kind of went past the 50s back into the 20s and 30s, and I like that. I like that kind of blues a lot, and people are very surprised sometimes with that, but I really like old blues. I like to listen to stuff, and I missed whatever that was completely, and I keep forgetting where I was on the other questions as I keep transferring through questions, so I will catch these up when we go through them. But yeah, see, because once we hit guitars, I'm just like ding, bear it off. But Fish Creek Mountain, yes, we'll be back at Fish Creek. And as far as the Native American stuff, yeah, they have great stories and stuff. I don't feel like I always want to tell. I always want to get someone that tells those stories great, because I've had some friends and some people I've known. Leonard Dan's one of those guys, tell great stories. Message retracted. But sometimes people can tell great stories and then you go and do it yourself and it's not the same. Cool, yeah, music is learning the songs, developing a gift, da, 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 da. Yeah, and I just like playing guitar. So there's times I don't want to play guitar, and there's times I like playing guitar, and there's times I like to create music and do different things. So one of the reasons I wanted this setup I have is that I can just come in, flick something, and just sit down and just do what I want. And when I want to walk away, I can walk away. Any ideas on the Red Hills? Don't know what he really meant. Red hills could be big red hills, little red hills, and I've always looked at it that way. I've always been concerned about, someone had an argument with me, and I won't say his name once, when he said, well, that's one of the most important clues of all time. I said, no, an inclined pit in a royal high up on a mountain is probably one of the most important clues. Um, Three red hills, I kind of look at that as kind of like the four peaks to the north. And, is that four peaks? Is it four peaks lined up as one peak? Is it four peaks yet you can see all at the same time? At four peaks, it's purely open to definition. Is it a face of rock? A rock that looks like a face? Is it this? Is it that? I think they get too tricky on some of this stuff. I think, is it three red spots? Because I remember hearing that a long time ago. Is that something from Brownie Holmes, that his dad said it was three red spots or something? I can't remember where that was from, but they said that wasn't so much three red hills. It was three hills that had reddish area to it. And if you look down Fish Creek going south, you will see from a satellite view there's a red rock area and red dirt area like crazy down through there. So if you're looking at three red hills, you can find three red hills ridges just about anywhere. And those kind of clues, it's just like, if you or I knew some sort of valuable information to find the mine, what information would we make public? And that's always one of the problems, is you're not going to make the best information public. Was the gold in rose quartz, or is it another piece of misinformation? Um, you know what? I'll tell you this. Everything I've seen that's supposed to be Dutchman gold is kind of the superstition gold, always, regardless of the stuff we've found, the stuff I've seen, the waltz stuff and all, has a greenish hue to it. It's usually in a white quartz, kind of a white quartz, not the rose quartz. So I know I heard a lot of people talk about white quartz, but it was really odd because I remember a story someone told me once, and I looked it up and found where people were really making fun of Reinhard Petrash because he was very excited about an area where he found quartz, and they said he found a lot of chalcedony quartz, and he was very excited about it all, and they said it's because he's not geologically very sound and he was a dumbass. And I thought, yeah, but he actually talked to Walt, so who knows what he found. It could have been something milky white or something like that. Are there supposed to be yeah, there was two of them, and I started to read the first one, then I realized I'm not going to make it, so I went to the second one, and then it disappeared. Okay, so don't keep repeating them. I will get to them in the next 24 hours or so. I will start replying to them, and you guys will get notifications. But a lot of clues with Waltz. That's that thing I always kind of sit back and say, how much of it is how relevant? You go past the three red hills and you've went too far. Okay, that seems like it would be fine and work, and it would make sense. But is that something just locks you into something? And that was my argument, is I don't know if that's something everybody would give up that much. When you're giving a clue up too easily, the basic framework of where the Lost Dutchman mine is, those clues, how important are they? And I think they're important, but they're important with other set of other things that equally are probably far more important. Wow, I made 40 some odd minutes. Trevor, be proud. I can talk. I can talk. It's Friday too. When I'm done with this, I'm done. But yeah, trying to wrap that up. I'm trying to remember a few of the other things. Next week I'll be better prepared. I'll answer the questions this week, and then I'll cover a few other things too, and all that, and then we'll all be happy and stuff. I didn't want this to be a book review club though, and all that, and I'm glad everybody. I have to do something here to make sure I can catch up to these. I found vendor Chalcedony, and okay, and then we're talking about the question was about petroglyphs. I didn't see the question, but petroglyphs. Have you been on the ledge in Bluff Springs? On the ledge, I've been on a lot of ledges in Bluff Springs. So I've been on a lot of ledges that started to slide, and I slid, and then I was like, holy crap, that's a long way down. A lot of shale up there. Been a lot of places, so I don't know which ledge you're talking about. There's a lot of ledges on Bluff Springs Mountain, a lot of cool ledges for a lot of different reasons. But anyways, petroglyphs are made by Native Americans. I really dig petroglyphs, and I don't usually, outside of Hieroglyphic Canyon, really push much and promote much about that, because I don't want people to ruin them, because I see some really cool stuff sometimes in the mountains that I don't see anywhere else, and I don't believe they have anything to do with treasure signs, but I believe they're very important, and people have a bad habit of messing with them. I believe the petroglyphs on Blacktop Mesa, most of that stuff was created by Barry Storm, because I've just even recently, I was reading some letters and some material by people, Walter Upton, John Burbridge, and a number of people that were involved with Barry Storm. And they said when they first found them and Storm was first showing them to them, they were chipping by the edges of them and noticing that there wasn't much of a change. that they'd been done somewhat more recently. They weren't that old. So even the people with Barry Storm early on, when he brought his groups in, doubted him on those, believed he created some of that stuff. Um, that Ledge Bluff Springs, boom, 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 in the Cal Sydney, which was Reinhardt Petrash, which I believe he was thinking something of. There's this milky, very white quartz or something. There had to be something about. We don't know because Reinhardt Petrash really didn't say a lot and didn't leave a lot of clues, which is funny, because other than Jim Bark, he didn't really talk to much of anybody. He talked a little to Barry Storm, Tom Clemenson. He talked a little to Ralph Pabst, a few people. There are a lot of people that act like he talked to them at length, which I don't think he did. And there seems to be very, very minimal information from him. Julia Thomas, there was a bit more, and Jim Bark said the both of them were pretty in agreement on everything, Petrash and Thomas. Sims Ely only met Julia Thomas. He never met Reinhardt Petrash. And then most of the information you have Petrash-wise came from Herman. So people, once Reinhardt was dead, they went to Herman. And Herman was far more talkative and into meeting with people. So a lot of people got to know Herman very well and partnered with Herman or got to sit around, and Herman was more than happy to talk to them about different things and stuff. And I think Herman, probably in hindsight, in the end, probably regretted a lot of things he said, just because he probably said stuff that he didn't mean to, but was great at storytelling. Somewhere in the mountain that there's a mystical experience. I don't know. I think just going in the mountains is a mystical experience, depending what you consider mystical. Herman's Cave, I don't think Herman ever stayed at Herman's Cave. Hello, people. I think Herman's Cave was just an area someone named it. I think Peter's Mesa was not named after the Petrashes at all. I found a lot of diaries, records, claims, and a lot of information on the Petrashes, and they didn't seem to be much around Peter's Mesa. Bluff Springs, Fish Creek, Tortilla, the other areas, but not there. I miss that. But anyways, Herman's Cave is very sloped, and if you've been there, if you travel, that's not like a permanent base. Herman stayed down more of the box. There were some other areas he spent time in. He could have been camped up in that area, but that cave is not like a place you'd want to like set up a camp and stuff. It's sloped. This is just not set up for that. I love getting stoned and watching this channel. Do you believe that the one Dutchman mine is going to be the most shot at? I don't know. I'm still not over the whole. I like to get high and watch this channel. Cool. That's good. That's good. Okay, just sit back, relax. Send money. Send me money. Yes, okay. No. All right, so anyhow, that was probably, we should have a question or a statement or something in comment of the week, and that was the best one. I love to get high and watch this channel. Shit. I would do it, and I can't. So my job doesn't allow me to, and it would be almost impossible to do this around and flip it around and do that. I made you laugh. You made my weekend. Well, that was not only funny as hell, it was enticing as hell. Yeah. Okay, but I can see where but you want it to also have a sense of humor. Again, if you're one of these guys and you're playing it all serious and stuff, and there's a reason the guys that do the other stuff, and I've always joked with them, and I joked with Charlie LeSueur once. I said, we should get together and do something. You film me, I film you, and we do something. And he was like, and that would have been the worst idea and the biggest nightmare for him, because Frank would tell you there's not a serious moment in me in doing that. I would have just destroyed them. Legal in New Jersey. Well, it's legal in Arizona, but I work for the utility company, and I'm not allowed to do that stuff. So it's just it can be legal, and you still can't do it because of what you do for a living. So you have to be very careful because of that. So, which is what I tell people I hire. In the Holmes manuscript, it's a good read. How Woody Wampler's doing just fine. I haven't talked to him for a couple weeks, but he's doing just fine. Holmes manuscript is a good read. I like not the Dick Holmes part of it, but all the parts about basically Brownie's life and what was going on and things he did. There's some great interviews with Brownie, audio interviews and transcripts of interviews and stuff. Maybe we'll do one of those one day. We'll put something of that up together about Brownie and give you guys a little insight. But I like the part about once everything else is done, his time he spent at the Quarter Circle U and some of the funny stories and things that happened in his life. Good guy, hey, can't fault the guy for doing what his dad told him to do and searching for something under what his dad told him to search for. Not going to fault the guy for that. I'm sure he was a pretty decent guy all the way around, and people seemed to like him and all. And generally, well, he was a friend of Clay Worse. That's good enough for me. Clay's a good guy. So, okay, we're running into getting closer into 46 minutes. Dang. 49 minutes. I'm almost at an hour, so I'm going to get done and out of here because I want dinner. I don't know what dinner is, but I'm going to want some. And I heard the AC kick on, which means that that's cool. Besides the matchboxes, there's supposed to be a ring. Have you seen it? I've seen almost all the pieces of jewelry, I will say that, including other pieces of ore. So I've seen other stuff that is touted to be. There's only one thing I will say with this. Some of the pieces of ore and some of the pieces of jewelry and other things don't seem to match some of the others. I was given an explanation by someone that somewhere around at one time the ore got separated from itself, and that there was another type of ore, and the concern was that some of it came from a different source. But it all does seem to have that greenish hue and stuff and all that. And, someone could take an XRF gun and test it all. And, hey, give us another TV show. We'll test it on XRF and compare it all. I'd like to see your dogs. They're all sleeping because it's 102, 103 degrees outside. And right now they're like, yeah, whatever. So they're out of there. Can't find Jesse Feldman's new book. Where can I purchase? Unfortunately, Jesse did not want to put it online or put it on Amazon or and I'm hoping the museum, but it is available at the OK Corral. It's available at Goldfield Ghost Town and available at the Superstition Mountain Museum. I know those three places. South Dakota loves the show. Thank you, South Dakota. I like South Dakota. Dakotas are good. That's South Dakota. South Dakota and North Dakota. But we love the Dakotas, which Dakota means friend, so that's all good there too. Check your instant messages. Sent you a picture of the mine. Top trip-shaped entrances of 10-foot. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll check it when I get a chance. My phone will probably be dead by the time we're done with this. But anyways, like the Dakotas, I was trying to stream back. See, you get me the third, fourth guy, and I'm trying to catch back where I was. Doesn't matter because I'll catch it up in the comments and stuff later. But anyways, this was great. I had a good time. We will be doing it again next Friday, unless I can come up with something. But I'm not going to push Tyler. Tyler's actually working on video VHS archives at this time. Thanks to Florida. Ireland, Colleen, enjoying the show. Hey, Ireland. I'm Irish. I got Irish in me. So, yeah, there you go. Ireland. We were big in Ireland. I didn't realize that, and someone told me that the show was really big in Ireland. And I'm a big fan of Ireland. I'm a big fan of Ireland. So, being partially Irish. Thanks for chatting with us, Wayne. No problem. Big fan of Phil Lynott and Gary Moore and the Irish rock music that came out of Rory Gallagher. So thanks, Wayne. Great show. I like my turnip soup because I'm good on Scotch broth soup from Scotland and that type of stuff. So I eat some of that weird food sometimes. So that's going to be it, because guess what's happening in Hey Melinda? And just catch somebody at the end. Thank you from the Superstition. I know that my phone is getting ready to go. So Rory Gallagher was awesome. Lost a good one there. Manuscript. Lost El Dorado. Thank you. Love your show. I will. You guys, now you're going crazy on me. So I will contact you Facebook. Thank you so much. But great to see everybody. If you didn't catch it all, run back, catch it all. I will make sure it posts to YouTube, and you can watch the whole thing and then continue to comment, and I will go do that and all that. Bye-bye for now. Take care, because I am Wayne Tuttle. You know you absolutely are not. And this wasn't Chasing Legends. It was a special edition of Legend of Superstition Mountains, which is a hell of a mouthfeel, but that's what it is. Thank you. Have a good one. Goodbye and good night.